Yeah, I'm speaking with Mike Ostrowski from Ascendant Technology. And first, Mike, tell us what Ascendant Technology does.
Right, so we're an IBM business partner, and we focus on delivering exceptional web experiences to our customers, either through using the ICS brand of software, WebSphere Portal, Web Content Manager, and Lotus Connections for IBM Connections, and also the IBM WebSphere Commerce suite for delivering online commerce.
And a lot of your engagements relate to building commerce portals. Is that right?
What we do a lot in the commerce-enabled portal. So we do many projects separately. Right, there's a commerce side, and then a lot of the portals may be focused on B2B, where commerce is business to consumer. And then there's some needs where, especially in B2B, where organizations need to be able to sell items, but it's not just selling. There's other types of transactions around maybe information sharing, workflow that commerce isn't so good at, the portal engine's good at, so we're able to marry those two products together to deliver value for our customers.
Okay. And you sell only IBM equipment and software, is that correct?
Well, we don't do any hardware, so we are a 100% IBM software business partner.
Why did you make the strategic decision to go all IBM?
So we kind of followed the Jack Welch approach, so anything that we say we're going to do, we're going to be the best at. And so if you ask various people in the IBM community, it's arguable, but we don't think so. But we're the best at delivering portals. Right? We're the best at delivering social solutions. And we felt that if we tried to take on too many different technologies, we wouldn't be the best. And we would just be another firm that can do this. And we want to be the best at what we do.
Now, looking at the mix of internal versus external portals, customer-facing versus internal portals, how is that mix running these days?
Yeah, so from our revenue perspective, it's probably 60% externally facing and 40% internally facing. From a number of projects, it's reversed, and the reason why is customers tend to spend more on their outwardly facing projects than on the inwardly. They spend a lot more time on the UI and the graphics on those projects. So roughly 60-40.
What are the biggest problems that companies with outwardly facing portals are trying to solve these days?
Well, that's a good question. So, it tends to be, it's either, two core things. How do I increase my revenue, or how do I cut costs? So on a B2B side, we're seeing how can I expand throughout my supply chain or my value chain to cut costs. So we're seeing a lot of use of portals to allow for transacting online, but also the social and knowledge management. A good example is the way Ascendant works with IBM. Right, so we do a lot of things for our customers. IBM does a lot of things, and we use all the same tools that we tell our customers to use. And we basically, so if we do a great project in an industry, we share that information. So then IBM can use that when they're selling to another customer. IBM does stuff in customers, and we want to be able to leverage their information. So it's not just about transacting, but it's sharing information across your value chain. In a B2C world, we're doing a lot in healthcare. So both from a healthcare provider perspective, wanting to deliver a patient satisfaction. So with healthcare reform, hospitals are going to start getting compensated based on patient satisfaction. So delivering a good online experience so people can better manage their care is critical. And on a healthcare payer side, employers and people buying insurance in the market are becoming more demanding and wanting more online tools. Cost calculators. When it's time for open enrollment, kind of playing what-if analysis to figure out what plan to pick. So basically putting tools in the hands of the consumer.
You mentioned healthcare. We've been hearing a lot about healthcare at this Lotusphere. What are some of the innovations that you've seen healthcare organizations implementing in terms of their customer-facing portals over the last year or two?
Right. So a little bit on the social side. There seems to be a hesitancy in healthcare around doing too much social because of the fears of HIPAA. Right, if somebody says something they're not supposed to. But we've seen some interesting use cases around not using it to not for patient to physician discussions, but patient to patient, more along the lines of sharing experiences. Right, is one way. Really, the other thing is ease. Is how can I make it easier to do business with either a hospital or an insurance company? Because in today's world, people shop, and it's really true. People shop for their health care. If you have to go get a knee surgery, you're going to look to see what's the best place, and if they have a good web experience, if you can make an appointment online, if you can get information about your disease online, you're going to probably choose that organization. So being able to provide those tools and that information that's consumable by the customer.
You're obviously very knowledgeable about how to build compelling websites and online presences. How have you used that in building your own business?
Yeah, so we I think I mentioned that we eat our own dog food, right? So we actually have a team of folks inside Ascendant, our digital business services team, and they're like an agency inside Ascendant, and they focus on business requirements and digital strategy and so forth. And we've worked with those guys to help Ascendant do that. So we have our own intranet that we use both internally, and we extend it out to our customers to where we share information. And we had to go through our own social transformation, right? We were 3 years ago a very email centric company. Me personally, in my job role, I was getting hundreds of emails a day, and finally, I got tired of sending the same answer, right? So we've built all these online communities through the use of tagging and file sharing to where everybody has access to good information.
Has social been useful to you in generating new business, actually finding leads?
It has not really been that. We use, like when I say social business, what I'm talking about and what we focus on is helping customers be more efficient and collaborate internally, more around knowledge management and collaboration, not so much social media and getting the word out to the marketplace. Now, there's value there, but we're focusing on cost reduction and value savings from using collaboration tools.
And speak to collaboration, because certainly that's what people have been talking about that for the last 2 days here at Lotus Sphere. What are some of the, what are some of the biggest benefits that you see your customers getting from their internal collaboration efforts?
Right. So there's there's the IBM Connections tool, which I'm sure you've heard a lot about right here. So it does a lot of stuff out of the box, and we see customers using it to like example. Like I've got a retail customer, and they use it for sharing information from across the retailer. They have people all across the country, right, who are in stores, and they're sharing their best practices, right? And there have been a couple of use cases to where someone in a store has a great idea about how to set up a display, and they share that, and then others catch wind of it, and as they start reading it and recommending it, and others see it, they try it in other stores, and then over time they start to learn what works and doesn't work, and they generate more sales. We did a collaboration project for a high-tech organization, and really to leverage ideas across engineers, and they used to allocate people on a weekly basis to build a bulletin, and it was a hard copy report of kind of all what's happening in the labs, and so it took 3 people every week to do that. So 3 man weeks every week to build this bulletin, and we helped build this social collaboration system. And while we were designing it, we're like, why are you still printing this? Why don't you think about having people put their input into blogs and wikis and their statuses, and then as people are looking at it, reading it, and recommending it, let's build that bulletin dynamically, right? So with that, now their bulletin, you log in, you get up to date. It's not a week old, and it's not printed. So those three man weeks are now working on engineering projects every week. So that's pretty hard dollar cost savings.
That's a great payback. So over the last year, are there any trends that you've noticed among your customers? Any new features they're looking for, new products, or new business problems they're trying to solve?
So I think the thing that we've seen the most common is a concept that we call social in context. And what I mean by that is, so there are social tools like IBM Connections, like like other competitive products, and they're great because you can do things, but people want to be social in context of their job. So an example is, let's say, social CRM. So I'm a sales guy, and I go visit a customer, and it's a healthcare organization, and they want to build a patient portal. So I come back to my computer and I log in an opportunity. Wouldn't it be great if I could right there go find the right experts online? Who's the healthcare guy in my company? Who's the portal guy? And let me create a community right there in context of my opportunity to build this team, right? So versus I'm in my CRM, I've got to alt tab over to some other thing and build a community, right? Mashing it all together. So taking social features and embedding them into existing business applications has driven a lot of value for our customers.
And finally, Mike, a question I'm sure a lot of business partners would be interested in. What's the secret of being a good IBM business partner?
Well, you certainly have to understand the IBM world, right? You have to understand the software products. So you have to understand the technology, probably first more, but you have to understand how they do their marketing programs. We invest a lot of money and time working with IBM marketing team to make sure that we're on the same page, and also understanding the sales programs. They've got some interesting, really good channel programs that it requires work to take advantage of. right? So you have to understand the programs and invest the time and effort to fully take advantage of those programs.
But your company has grown from how many to how many employees?
Well, so 7 years ago, I was employee number 29 or 30, and we're just about at the 500 mark now.
So the IBM partnership has certainly worked out well.
It has been worked away. And I failed to mention this. So you asked me why we chose. So the one reason is we want to be the best at it. But the reason we said we want to be the best at IBM versus the best at something else is because we really feel strongly that it's the best software out there.